Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just hit the link in the show description to support now.
Welcome to the Apollo Audio Podcast.
Hello.
We're at Apollo Audio. I'm Martin Lumsden, producer and engineer. I'm with, as always, my good compatriot. Good compatriot? I come up with a different thing every
Are we
week.
like the army?
Billy Hills, good compatriot. Are we in the army? Is that what you said? Yeah, it could be. Yeah, with my sergeant at arms. No, not right. Billy Hills.
Hello.
Guitarist, we decided, didn't we?
Yeah, just that.
But you play bass player, all the stuff. Yeah. And we also, again, this week, we have another special guest with us this week. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. This is Alex from Love Musis Hate Racism. Hello, Alex.
Hello, how you doing?
Very well, thank you very much. Good to have you with us. We're going to chat a little bit about what that whole thing is that I've just said.
Yeah.
So you can tell us a little bit about that as we get into it. How are we all doing this week, guys?
Good. I had a really good week. I did some recording at the weekend.
Oh yeah, you were down at...
I was down in Kent. Even though I've got a studio myself, this opportunity was too good to pass up. I went to this... it was called... What are they called? Joplin House. Basically, I went there because it was this... You'll love this, Alex. They bought this desk. It was a...
Neve.
Neve
console.
It was like a Neve. It began with A. It was like an Aegon or something like that.
Oh, it's a fake Neve.
Yeah.
But it was. This is getting,
not as good.
Worse. No.
Yeah.
No,
but basically, all the bands, my favourite bands from the 90s, recording it. It was a modded desk to suit the new metal sound. So Limp Bizkit did their first album on it. Korn. Who else? Machine Head.
On that actual desk?
On that actual desk. I was sat next to it. Butch Vig had worked on it. He'd signed it.
Yeah.
Thunderstruck was written that room on that desk.
That's
the Grease soundtrack was written on it.
In that room?
Yeah.
In Kent?
Yeah. I know. Not the Grease soundtrack, the Thunderstruck was. It was in 1990. I thought that was like the 80s Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
But not only that, the pedals there was used on the modded pedals that were used by Korn on their first couple of albums.
It's fun, isn't it?
It was, and the Cure did some stuff there. The bass player left his bass there.
Yeah.
It was all mental, right? It was a museum.
In the Cure, Simon Gallup, is it?
Yeah. And apparently the guy there, Dan, lovely bloke. Hope he doesn't mind me saying this. He was like the mediator when they broke up for a bit. Do you know when he left?
Yeah.
Apparently because he left his stuff there. They like had a meeting there and everything, and then got them back together. And it was just such a cool sound to use the digital and the analog sort of sounds and just the history. Yeah. Even if it sounded naff, which it doesn't. Yeah. Just to be a part of that, to touch stuff that my heroes have touched. And
it somehow it creates a vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You kind of. I think this is apart from anything else, apart from the place and all that bit. The thing that I always say, like, why would you come to any studio?
Yeah.
Because you're creating a vibe.
Yeah.
You're going in as a gang.
Yeah.
It's not just sitting. We're just like mucking stuff out. It's like no, we're having an experience. We're actually focused on doing a job.
Yeah.
And we're doing it together.
Yeah.
And there's a whole sort of vibe around it.
Yeah.
That always for me has been the microphone's great, the desk's great, all that kind of stuff. But no, we're making a record.
Yeah.
That's
we're going somewhere to do it. We're going away.
Somewhere and make a record.
And when we're done with those few days or weeks or whatever,
that thing will be
done.
That's
the dream, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Alex, how have you been? We've not spoken ever to you.
We've never spoken to you in my life.
How far do you want to go back? Maybe we should tell people who you are. Tell people who you are first of all.
Cool. My name is Alex Lestrado. Middle name is John. That's true. My middle name is John. I make music under the alias middle name John.
Nice.
And I'm with the Love Musis Hate Racism campaign and have been since 2020. I've lived, you can tell by my confused kind of anywhere Yank accent. Not anywhere, but it's become quite confused and generic and kind of somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. I moved to London in 2010 to kind of study some guitar.
So
by the way, you started with like, how you doing this week? I'm good to be in a recording studio right now. I love studios, right? So I'm happy to be here.
That. Love studios, love music.
Love studios, hate racism. Yeah. So
did you come over for music to London?
Yeah, I did a course at the ICMP in Kilburn.
Oh, nice.
Basically, I was working in radio, managing events and playing in loud bands. And I was in my early 20s and just kind of like running around ragged. And I'd realized like the only music I could sit down and play on my instrument is like whatever my band of original music had to do that night. I really didn't know up from down. If you were to tell me, play something in G major, I would look at you like a ghost. My skills were quite limited, but I did it in reverse. I had a gang of fun jumping around, stepping on distortion pedals, shouting into a mic in dingy rooms, and it was, that was my entry. But what I found once I was kind of an adult and working in live events, I just found myself like, okay, I'm either at a gig or I'm running a gig, and I'm running around, and I've never learned how to play this thing. I'm not in a relationship. I go study with the instrument now, or it's not going to happen. Before it's too late. So, just went on Google and searched like 1-year guitar courses, and I ended up in Kilburn.
Wow,
nice.
Yeah, and so
it's a great place. I know a few people that have studied there, so it's pretty.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and I was a little bit older than the students in my class, and it was a very good experience. The teachers themselves were insane players, and again, I'd never been around like session players, or people that studied before getting on stage. I mean, like if I were to go back, if I really think about my first gigs, it's like really didn't know how to play anything besides what I was playing that day, which is mad to think about. When I think about the people I learned guitar with here, studied guitar with here, they were all so proficient, but it never gigged or recorded. It was the complete reverse. And I remember like we were doing a performance thing, and I'd learned the song that we had to play that day, and I got up and I played it, and I came off, and one of the guys that I studied said, "Wow, that was really great." What are you talking about? You're way more skilled than I am on the instrument. And I think it was just that comfort on stage.
The performance element.
That's why I came to London, and then 6 months into it, I met my now wife and mother of children, and have had the last 15 years
Can't
in London.
escape.
Okay, they might drag me out eventually.
Where were you from in the States?
Phoenix, Arizona. My parents are East Coast. I lived in Boston as a young kid until about 9, but I'm kind of...
Did you have the Boston accent?
No. But if you talk to my auntie, she's got it.
I love
my
that
mom's
accent.
kind of lost it. Oh, it's a bit harsh. Yeah. Pack the can, have it,
What's is it Family Guy? That's all set.
That's Rhode
Island.
The Departed is a very good Boston film.
Oh yes, yeah.
Who's that? Was that
Leonardo?
Who does Shipping Off to Boston? The Irish American band. What are they called? Dropkick Murphys.
Yeah, Dropkick Murphys. Yeah.
Cheers was all set in Boston.
That's right. I sat in that bar as like a 7-year-old once.
Wow.
Not drinking. But,
What's any famous bands from? There must be famous people from Phoenix.
From where I'm from, Jimmy Eat World is from up the road. Gin Blossoms is from up the road. Nice. And there will be others that I'm forgetting.
Yeah. I saw, interrupt there, Jimmy Eat World, they're doing their Bleed American album that we...
we covered that with one of...
they're doing that, they're playing O2 or something like that, doing that album. So I'm sure Lemmy will be on that.
Lemmy, I need to go there. We had Lemmy Eaton, one of the guys we know well. He was on talking about Jimmy Eat World. It's his favourite album, basically, Bleed American.
I would say Gin Blossoms and Jimmy Eat World. When it comes to bands, those are kind of the people that first come to mind. I know that like there's people that have chosen to live there. Maynard lives in Sedona. If you ever go to Arizona, Sedona is a place. Yeah, Maynard has been there for a while. God, Tim Alexander, drummer Primus, is up the road from him.
We literally just discussed it.
This is great. We've done tour. We've done Primus. It sounds like it's intentional.
Primus. I could talk your ear off about that band. I could.
We've tried to get into them.
Yeah.
Do you not?
We just. I don't know.
It felt like a hard listen. Was the
fantastic band? I mean, I love the humor.
It's very.
I think we both said we listened to it and went,
what did you listen to?
It's fine.
The cheese one.
Sailing on Sea the Cheese. Yeah.
Gosh, man,
and
the cheese one. I bit my tongue when you brought up those new metal bands before.
We both kind of went, this is cool, but it's taken a bit of getting into. But I think subsequently we've both gone, I listened to it again and like. I kind of get it.
I don't hate it.
It's very neat. It's very. I mean, he's an individual. Right.
Yeah.
But Say on the Cheese the Cheese. There's that song Tommy the Cat on there.
Yes.
You know what Tommy the Cat's about?
No.
Tommy is Tom Waits.
Oh.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's his.
Cool. Nice.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
They did the music stuff.
This is why we needed you on the podcast.
Yeah, come 2 weeks ago.
Fantastic. Talk about session musicians. I just want to say there's a documentary that's it's years old, I think, but it's on Amazon Prime at the moment about the Wrecking Crew, who were the original session musicians. They just played on everything.
Yeah.
There's a group of about 20 musicians.
Wow.
And everything through the 60s and early 70s.
Just them.
Cool.
It's them. I mean, the Beach Boys on the albums, it's not the Beach Boys, it's the Wrecking Crew.
Really?
And Brian Wilson.
Yeah.
Largely, yeah. They went out and performed live, but in the studio, it was just like, no, we need people who can actually play.
Yeah.
And to add to that, I would say a mandatory viewing would be Standing in the Shadows of Motown. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Standing in the Shadows of Motown. It's about the Funk Brothers and basically the band that was sat in that studio recording every Motown hit you've ever heard, just as the band behind the singers.
Oh, that's
and the reason it's a great documentary is the ones that are still living like kind of narrate, and they do some demonstrations. It's incredible.
It's fascinating. Yeah, it's probably some of the same people.
It could be.
But that group. But yeah, it's just fascinating. I'd say talking about that. Oh, we just knew how to play, and we knew how to come up with stuff. And this is in days when they wouldn't be credited for it. That was kind of the point as well. You know, these sort of famous bass lines that you go, oh, that's a brilliant bass line from that band. And you go, that wasn't them. It was Carol Kay.
Yeah, big up Carol Kay. Yeah.
It's like there's so many of them. It's like, that's Carol Kay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So tell us how you got into the whole
Love Musis Hate Racism. Yeah. So the same way you reached out to me, man, and that's one of the things that's beautiful about Love Musis Hate Racism. 2019, I kind of got wind of Love Musis Hate Racism just by there was gigs that were popping up, and I turned up to one just to check it out, and there was a guy at a booth, and I took his number. I said, "Hey, I'd love to perform at one of these." He said, "Great." And then lockdown happened. At the time, I worked at Ronnie Scott's for 8 years.
Oh, no way.
I started just as kind of like working on the bar, and then I ended up moving up to the music team and doing some bookings outside and stuff. So I was working there at the time, and the world stopped. The club shut. Everybody stopped, and we're all locked in our flats. And at the time, I have a 3-year-old and an 8-month-old. And my partner is on Zoom working, and I'm sat in my living room seeing how long my beard can get, trying not to bang my head against it. I got really into running, doing the same stuff that everybody's doing. And then saw the execution of George Floyd, and it shook me in a way, and I was quite angry. I was rattled, and I called the guy that was on the booth that day, and he must have. I joke with him. We're going to be lifelong friends. I joke with him now, every now and again. He must have thought I was a lunatic. I basically was just phoning him. He's not answering, and I phoned him, and once he picks up the phone, I was like, I want to get involved. I got to do stuff, and can you believe this? And I think he's a seasoned organizer, and he heard the passion through the phone, and he said, "Right, okay, then, mate," and kind of brought me into some Zooms and said, help out with this, help out with that, and next thing you know, I'm kind of the national organizer for Love Musis Hate Racism for a few years. But I think people's perception of Love Musis Hate Racism is if you've just, and sorry, parking that for a second. My entry point to being involved with Love Musis Hate Racism is the same entry point as you, right? I want to get involved, I want to do something. We start talking and it happens. So Love Musis Hate Racism is people maybe have a perception that it's like, the Red Cross or something like that. It's some massive charity with a big office in central London. That's not the case. We're a grassroots anti-racist campaign that follows the tradition of Rock Against Racism. We're very much in touch with the people who founded Rock Against Racism. If anybody doesn't know who Rock Against Racism were, I always encourage people to go seek out the film White Riot, the documentary White Riot. Just Google it and find a way to watch it. It's a really great documentary because it's through the organizer's lens. So we try to carry that tradition of using music as a unifying force, right? So racism divides, music unites. We have more in common than we do different. Nothing demonstrates that more than the music we listen to. And what Rock Against Racism did, I think, it's the story is worth telling over and over and over again. And they do it really great in the film. The late 70s, or mid and late 70s, was the places that are now multicultural, gig going, everybody hanging out. These were no-go zones. And a lot of the people that were at the roots of Love Musis Hate Racism were terrorized by the National Front. And so those gigs and you could speak to people that were around then, those gigs really broke things down, because when you have The Clash and punk doing gigs with roots reggae, and you've got black audiences coming in the room with white audiences coming in the room, all getting on together. And by the way, the National Front were attacking these gigs. Yeah. There's a bit of this in the film, but something that I've had conversations with people with is you had white kids at these gigs dancing, getting along, and coming home and getting in arguments with their racist parents. It was really it was really breaking things down. And another thing about Rock Against Racism is people kind of really look to the famous gig in '78 in Victoria Park, and the film leads up to that. You can see it, and it's great. It's fantastic. There was a lot of grassroots gigs all over the UK, and there was people were phoning up. Somebody like you phoning up saying, I'm in Hartford, and we need to do some gigs there. We need to go, and then on the other end of the phone is me. It's like, cool, you're the LMHR up in Hartford.
Yeah,
and that's the crux of it. And
is it all over the UK?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, we really strong branches in Glasgow. Long live Glasgow. Big up Glasgow if you're listening. I was there the other. I mean, I love Glasgow, but yeah, all over the UK. Whoever and it is interesting. These phone calls and these emails do happen a lot, and that just goes to show. I do think the majority of people don't like the kind of far right. Racist stuff that we've seen on the rise in society. I mean, it's always been there, but we're seeing it.
This is the sad thing, is like we're talking about the 70s as needing a cultural impulse to start to change things, and it feels like to a degree things have improved, and yet we're in a little bit of reverse, and and unless we remain conscious or do something, that's the way it sort of feels to me. Is like, oh, not a here we go again kind of thing, but. There is why is this being activated, and this is why we're having this conversation still.
If you look at the cultural spaces and the music spaces, that has always been a place to push back. I think the landscape in 2025 is very different than the late 70s. Very, very, very different for many, many reasons.
In a town like Hartford, where I think it is a majority white sort of place, I mean, there's not the massive... multiculturalism, and you can sort of forget about it, I suppose. It's not really affecting us, these things that happen, but that's even more of a reason to do it, and spread the word that is happening elsewhere. Just because, I don't know, there's not massive divisions in this town, maybe so much, you still can't just be blissfully ignorant of it. You've got to do anything about it.
Yeah, I do think multiculturalism, I do think, is a strength, and it's the strength of the United Kingdom, and it's important, and we need to respect. Every place I've lived in London, I've had neighbours from all over the world. Currently, I live next to somebody from Poland, somebody from China, somebody from Iraq, and somebody from Jamaica, like just in my building. And I'm from the States, and we all get along, and that's all good. But that's not to say that white supremacy and racism doesn't happen in London. I mean, what I saw a month or two ago in London was crazy. I was there. That was crazy. That was bigoted white supremacists marching through the streets, smashing people up. So, I think it's everybody against white supremacy. Is
Alex, people want to get involved if they're kind of hearing a thing about Love Music Hate Racism. That sounds something I'd be interested in. What do you do, and what's the process if people want to get engaged, or is it not about joining something and more about looking out for it? What's it actually about?
The ways to get involved, if you're just listening to this now and you're driving or something, right, like, easy thing to reach out is follow us on the socials, and the website is just lovemusichateраcism.com. Send an email, and we'll get involved. There is, we are planning a big demonstration on March 28th with the Together Alliance, and we've had a lot of musicians sign up and saying they're supporting it. Fontaines DC, Paloma Faith, Kneecap, tons. This is as of like, I'm not the key figure in this link, but this was just announced yesterday. So we're always announcing things to get involved with. I think in the imminent, do reach out to us. I think it's important that we get a lot of gigs going between now and early May. Love Musis Hate Racism has never endorsed a political candidate. We are an anti-racist music campaign. That said, we need to keep reform out of office.
Are gigs the main activity?
Gigs are the main activity. So there will be gigs in your town. If not, reach out to us. Let's organize a gig in your town. And we work alongside a sister organization called Stand Up to Racism a lot as well. So sometimes there'll be a Stand Up to Racism event, and they'll say, "Oh, we want a musical element," and they'll reach out to us, and we'll organize that.
We're doing one here, and we're going to sell T-shirts, aren't we?
The reason that you're here, Alex, is because Billy obviously reached out to you. And what's the ongoing relationship between Apollo Audio and
so we
Love Musis
give
Hate Racism?
A portion of our profits towards the charity each month, and especially at gigs where we hope to raise the most amount of money, we'll be selling T-shirts. All the T-shirt profits go towards the organisation, and it's raising awareness of it as well. I think is the main thing. We'll have like charity buckets out at the gigs. We want to get more artists involved from London and different areas as well to come here, get different sorts of music involved as well, and different types of genres that might not be here in Hertford, that might be elsewhere. But I think the main thing is why I got involved was the awareness of it, and
because we can make a statement as opposed to say that this as stupid as it sounds, because it shouldn't have to be said, but it has to be said. We support this.
And we even said as a studio, like maybe we talked about doing like a compilation album of all the artists that support this together, and maybe.
I mean, that on a personal note, that sounds fantastic, right? Like any chance to, that sounds amazing. And I'm always Love Musis Hate Racism in general, but me personally, I'm always looking for new ways to be creative in ways that we can collaborate and do projects, because gigs, gigs has always been the thing, and it always will be the thing to some extent, because, I do think getting people in a room now is probably more important than ever, and always will be, but just making records is great.
It's fine as well.
That we can talk about that.
But I think it's the main thing for me, if we're going to finish on it, but it's like, I think we want to see the studio as a safe space, no matter your like age, sex, or like race or whatever. It's a safe space to come create, basically. And
studio, I mean, like when I came here, I was like, oh wow, this is great. You've got some bands I love on the walls, and the studio is great. But also, like, studio spaces have always been a place where great ideas come about, and relationships come about, and get initiatives rolling, apart from just making cool records.
100%. Should we talk about cool records?
Yeah, I was talking about good segue. Yeah,
well done.
We're here, because we always do like to talk about the actual music itself, because that's love music is part. Like we've talked about the hate racism part. Let's talk about the love music part. Alex, you're sitting there with a Rage Against the Machine T-shirt on, and you've also brought in some vinyl. Look at that, actual record, which I love. I've refound my love for in the last couple of years, having grown up with vinyl records, but I've started buying them again. So so you're sitting in a Rage Against the Machine T-shirt. You have a Rage Against the Machine album. We talked about Rage Against the Machine a little while ago on the podcast, but this is second album, Evil Empire.
Yeah, so, I mean, you sent me an email. You're like, on this podcast, we usually do an album, talk about an album. Are you up for doing Evil Empire? And I was like, wow.
That man's got great taste.
Like fate. I mean, so, shall I just start going and you interject and stop me?
Because we talk all the time, so you go for it.
It's quite nice.
So this album is really important to me. I would say this is probably without this album, I don't know if I would ever have an inclination to get involved in activism such as Love Musis Hate Racism, or read some of the books I've read, or written some of the lyrics I've written, or any of that. But it took me a long time, right? So I'll my first memory of this is I was like, what year does this come out? 96? Yeah, 96. So I'm 12. But I feel like I was younger when this happened. And I was at a friend's house, just like whatever, kicking balls at a wall, playing video games, whatever. And the phone rings. This is a really cool story about my mom. Don't know if she even remembers it, but she called the house of where I was. Dad came over and said, "Hey, Alex, your mom said to turn on Saturday Night Live. We're going to put it on." She puts it on, and there's Rage Against the Machine playing Bulls on Parade. And I'm watching it. It's because she had just got me a guitar, and I think I was just about to start learning guitar. And I'm sitting there watching it. I remember looking at the dad, and he's like, "What is going on?" He was not happy about this being on the TV, right? And I remember watching it, and not being taken like, oh, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Just being like, what is this?
What is it? Yeah.
You know, what is this? And what's he doing with that guitar, and what's that sound? And just being kind of confused and be like, oh, that's kind of cool. And my mom being like, oh, did you like it? And I'm like, yeah, it was kind of cool. And kind of liking it, but whatever, didn't go deep into it. And then I'm watching MTV by myself one day, and Bulls on Parade music video comes on. Again, I'm just a kid, and I remember watching this music video and really feeling quite a physical thing going on in my body, be like, whoa, and being a bit uncomfortable, like, what is this? You know, if you go back and watch the video, it's quite intense, right? Then, you know, fast forward to like 16 or 17, and I start actually playing with friends in a garage, and other guys like that band, and when I start to like actually plug into a loud amp and get a wah pedal, then I'm like, oh wow,
yeah,
Tom Morello, you know, then my mind starts opening up, and it was all about the band sound, right? Yeah. And then the band is broken up at this point, and I never get to see them, and I'm like, but I go back to them, and I'm like, oh wow, this is such a cool sound, but I still wasn't really hip to what Zach was doing. I was always just like, oh wow, these sounds, oh, he's making his guitar sound like this, and oh, it's really it's teenage angst for me. I'm a teenager. I'm like, great, you know, I might as well have placed them with the other stuff that I was listening to, which was, you know, Soundgarden and Nirvana and Primus and Deftones and Tool, and so like it just kind of was in that I'm an angsty teenager with an electric guitar. Yeah, but I loved it. But it was that. Fast forward a little bit, and I start becoming a little bit more of an adult, and I realize what Zach is talking about. I'm like, wow, this is very interesting. And then Zach came to where I was living. Maybe early in my time of turning up to demonstrations. There was a guy called Sheriff Joe. That's right, I grew up in a place that had fucking sheriffs. Sorry, am I allowed to say after that?
You have.
Sheriff Joe was a vile racist who implemented, I forget the proposition, he implemented a law which basically allowed you to racially profile Mexican people, Latin American people, where I grew up, there's a massive population of that. Yeah. I mean, one could argue Arizona was Arizona was Mexico, right? Yeah. So Sheriff Joe was on a campaign of just pulling people over and profiling them and put in this place called Tent City, and it was really awful. And Zach De La Rocha came out and led this protest, right? And I got wind of him going, and I was like, you know what, I'm against this. I'm going to go up and turn up. This is one of my favorite singers ever, and he's leading this protest. I'm going to turn up, and I turn up to this park. I'm meeting somebody there, and I'm standing there, and she's looking at me. She's looking at me like I'm a ghost, and I turn around, and literally standing just behind me is Zach, and I look out, and somehow I've parked my car, and I've turned up into the part of the park where he was meeting the organizers, these old Mexican ladies, union leaders and stuff, and they're all holding the stuff, and I realized like I'm at the front of the march, and I'm standing right in front of them.
Oh my God!
And I had this thing in my brain, and I'm glad I thought this. Don't ask him about Rage Against the Machine. Yeah. And repeat. Don't ask him about Rage. Don't ask him about Rage, because he would just look at me like an idiot. And I said, "Oh, hey Zach, are you going to be speaking today?" I don't know what I didn't know what to say. I was like mumbling, "Are you going to be speaking today?" He goes, "Yeah," at the end. And I proceeded to do the whole march, standing right behind him. I was giving him flat tires. I stepped on his shoe a couple times. I was like, "Sorry, Zach, sorry." He's like, "It's all right, man." And then he kept coming to Phoenix when this proposition was becoming legalized, and he was turning up to the South Phoenix communities, running little, he was doing People of Sun with one guy on djembe, and so that's when I kind of got hip to what he was saying, and I think it's when you're nostalgic about music, like I can listen to bands. I think anybody who's a music fan that listens to music a lot can listen to the music of when they were becoming an adult and have a nostalgia for that, right? So when I listen to Rage Against the Machine, there's a bit of that, but it's probably of that time of my life, it's the only band where I look back and actually the depth of that man's lyrics get deeper for me the older I get. 100%. Because if you sit there and you read them, never mind the way he delivers them, which is this whole like visceral insanity, the lyrics are really heavy. And a lot of it, all of it, was going way over my head at the time.
Yeah.
And also, you open I'm holding the vinyl up here. You open it, the inside cover is books, and book. Live from Death Row, Mumia Abdul-Jamal. You've got Che. You've got Malcolm X. You've got the Black Panthers. You've got Marx and Engels. He was a really hardcore revolutionary. And if you think about it, they had no business being number one on the charts, and no business being on MTV, and no business filling arenas, and they did. And they did because I wonder. There's always been really. Hardcore, for lack of a better word, not the genre, and there's really intense, lyrical, and in-your-face music that reaches the mainstream.
Yeah.
But I would challenge any of us to go look at lyrics and listen to sound and think like, wow,
it's like,
that topped the charts,
It's protest music.
Yeah.
And yet it's not presented necessarily as it's clearly protest music, but it's not like protest music. It's not.
It doesn't feel like
it's
oh
not
my God,
that. It doesn't feel like you're being preached to.
That's the
although you are actually being preached to.
I would argue that you are more than any other.
But it doesn't necessarily feel that way. That's what I mean.
You know what it feels like? It feels like when you read these lyrics and you learn a little bit more about Zach, like he's not joking around.
Yeah.
Right? So when he says, I'm rolling down Rodeo with a shotgun, these people ain't seen a brown-skinned man since their grandparents bought one. Right?
What a lyric.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. And by the way, every song is full of lyrics like this. Yeah. Rodeo's up the road from me. He grew up in Southern California. He's a Mexican-American person, right? Yeah. And you could go and see footage of Zach playing flamenco guitar, singing in Spanish in Mexico, right? Like he's speaking of struggle that he is connected to, right? And so I think there's a personal element of it as well for him, and for all of them. I mean, I could talk about the band a lot, but just looking at all these lyrics. If you look at all these lyrics, they all cut really deep.
Yeah. So the thing I was thinking about, Alex, I'd love your opinion on this because I was thinking about this in the shower this morning. If Rage Against the Machine, or a band like Rage Against the Machine, were formed today, tomorrow, and this album was coming out, or the previous album was coming out, what would be the reaction now to it? Because this is the thing I was thinking. I feel, to a degree, maybe I shouldn't say what I think, I feel like, as sad as it is, it was easier to say what they were saying in 1990 than it would be now.
Sure, but I mean, look at Kneecap, man. Look what
this
Kneecap's
is it. That's what I mean. The reaction to it, I think, would be very different now, and that's.
But I think there's more of a need for it now than
100%.
Yeah.
I think that. Look at what Idols just did. Although I will say, look, I think there's protest music will always be. And by the way, like tying things into Love Musis Hate Racism, like music doesn't have to be so overtly revolutionary and right on and protest for it to be effective as a tool for anti-racism.
Sometimes you just want to enjoy it, listen to it.
Sure, but and you can do both with Rage Against the Machine, which is great.
And at an activist gig or a Love Musis Hate Racism gig, you will have artists performing that aren't like this. And that's all good. Look, Paloma Faith has been a real voice the last couple of years. Her music is not, I wouldn't consider of the same ilk at all. But to answer your question, I think they had issues. I mean, they got pulled from BBC. They got when they tell their story about their Saturday Night Live experience, they've had gigs pulled. They got arrested in New York City. They played outside the DNC. Yeah. They've had their fair of stuff like that. The question of if somebody did what they do now, I think people always will. Will it? When you talk about the reaction to Rage Against the Machine, I think something that's quite interesting is like over the years, like because of the birth of social media and the internet, there's been a lot of their fans that aren't really on with the message and really political, and have been like, hey, why are they saying this stuff online, or why are they being political? And Tom Morello will be like, well, maybe you didn't pay attention to what we've been saying, but this is what we've been saying. And I think there's something quite brilliant in the fact that you don't see Zach anywhere.
No.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, they are a band. I think, the four of their politics are probably on board with each other, but I really do. I could spend my life researching and getting. I've become more of a Zach super fan over the years than the beginning when I was just simply a Rage fan.
Yeah.
I think it's quite telling that there's no social media account. When they get inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Zach's not there. I mean, Tom turned up and the first thing he said, we're a band and there's a reason that it's just me here tonight. I think the fact that when he broke his leg on that last tour, I had tickets and it sucks. But he, when the rest of the tour got cancelled, when they said, we're never going to do it again. I think a lot of that, I don't think he wanted to be a rock star. I think if you read the lyrics and you know his history he comes from a hardcore movement, man. If you look at Inside, you can go find footage of him playing in Southern California with the band Inside Out, where it's like, you think he's screaming with rage. No, he was screaming his head off with Inside Out. And what's crazy is this footage of him at a hardcore gig in a basement, and he goes, all right, this next song is called Rage Against the Machine, and my skin crawls I get tingly just thinking about it. It's like, what are you talking about? So like, I'm always kind of learning new things about him. So he I think he brought a lot of that to, something I don't know is how he went from like being this hardcore guy to really rhyming the way he does. The way he flows some of these lyrics together.
That's what I want to say about this album. Is, for me, I think it's the best his flow is. Like, it's the most hip hop he ever is with his flow, and the most angsty he is. Like the bass lines on Without a Face.
Big up Tim, man. It's crazy.
Like, it's so hip hoppy, and it could be so. But then they go so heavy, and it's the perfect. I think it's the perfect blend of hip hop and metal for me. Also, that's what it does. And they're my two favourite genres, and they just go so hard for it. The bass lines are incredible. The funk on there between, like, Tom Morello,
Tim and Brad are awesome. Like, you could just isolate the bass and drums and have a time of your life.
And you were saying this is your most listened to album of the year.
Yeah, and I think it has been. This, again, for me, I always sort of skipped this one, because I think there's more singles on the first one and the last one. And I was like, Balls on Parade, banger. There's no other singles on there. I'm not going to give it a listen. Came back to it, and it is.
I listened to it on the way over here, knowing we were going to talk about it. People with the Sun, Bulls on Parade, Vietnam. Those three in a row of the first three tracks is just like, whoa.
But then that track like Timey won a Grammy. There's no music video for it. They hardly ever play it live, and it's a
Grammy award-winning album. And yet there was a review I read of it. I said, like, the guy that reviewed it, it's on Tidal. If you look at the sort of description of this album, he hated it, and it's so weird to see.
Who hated Tommy?
Oh, it's like Tom.
the
or something. And it's just like, it's so weird. It's so unusual to see someone actually like bad reviews these days. Or not even a bad review. It's just like he's kind of it's just not very good.
Oh, I understand why people wouldn't like Rage. There's a lot of reasons.
No, he liked Rage. He didn't like this album. That was his thing.
But look, the production of this album, I think the first one is a little bit more raw. It's Rick Rubin and everybody. People are crazy about the first one. I love the first three albums, top to bottom. Renegades of Funk, I can listen to it because I love the band, but I feel like it was the band is kind of finished by then. The first three albums, I love it all. But this, I think Brendan O'Brien did an amazing job with producing this album. I think it
still sounds raw, doesn't it?
And there's a few bits that are a little bit more. There's a little bit more trickery in there.
I thought I really could hear the Public Enemy influence on this one for me. Not that I know much about either band, but that really struck me. I thought, this sounds like that. The influence I could hear more on this than I did on when I'd listened previously. Alex, thank you very much for coming on. So we've got to sort of wind up a little bit because I'm in a bit of a rush today. So we could chat about this for another 20 minutes or more, I think.
We'll have to get you on again,
thanks
Alex.
so much for coming in. That Evil Empire by Rage Against the Machine, it's got the picture of Prince William on the front for some reason.
Is that who it is?
I don't think it is, but I always
thought
it's very
conceptual, man. It's very conceptual. It's a very conceptual.
Every time I saw it, I thought it's Prince William. Where can people find out about Love Musis Hate Racism?
All the obvious socials. Follow us. The only one I'm using for my sins is Instagram, but we've got accounts on all the social.
Just literally
socials.
Look up Love Musis Hate
Racism.
And you'll find
we've got an email blast if you sign up on our website. You can write into either. Do reach out to us. Do turn up if you're anywhere in the UK. We're playing a massive demonstration on March 28th. And if you want to throw gigs in your own town, or if you want to get creative with us and reach out and we'll get it off the ground.
Cool.
Brilliant.
And if you want to reach out to us at the studio...
Yes, we're going to have a bucket ready, so if you want to give or spread the word,
20th,
we've got bits.
20th 19th is the next gig.
We'll be selling some t-shirts, we'll have a bucket, all proceeds will go towards the charity.
At Apollo Audio Podcast on Instagram. ApolloAudioPod@gmail.com is the email address, and we are Apollo-
Come on, you should have this by now.
I should know this. Apollo-audio.co.uk on the website. You can reach out to us there, connect with us if you've got any interest in any of these things and want to get in touch with us about music production, music recording, music tuition, rehearsal. Come and talk to us. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you, guys.
See ya.
Cheers. Thank you.
You sure you forgive me?